Hi, everyone. So we're going to do a recap of the whiteboard problem from in class today. And just as a reminder for the problem, you can go back and read the question on Classroom. But the general idea was we had a sphere that was going to roll downhill, which means it was going to gain some rotational kinetic energy. And then we had a block that was going to slide downhill. And without any friction, we know that block would normally be faster. But the premise of this problem was that we wanted to slow the block down with a kinetic friction force so that it could reach the same speed as the sphere at the bottom of the hill and arrive at the bottom of the hill at the same time. So before we get into the math, just a quick kind of recap of the energy transformations that are happening here. If we set these up so they have the same mass and the same height and the same incline with the same length and the same angle, that means in both cases, the initial energy would be all gravitational potential in both cases, and you would start with the same amount. In both cases, we will be gaining kinetic energy at the end because the center of mass will be moving from the top of the hill to the bottom. So if the center of mass is in motion, there will be kinetic energy in both cases, but that final kinetic energy cannot be the same amount as the gravitational potential that we started with, because in both cases, we're going to have to also use some energy for other reasons. So for the sphere, we will have no gravitational potential at the bottom of the hill. We're at our lowest possible height. Most of our energy will be regular kinetic, but we are going to have to use some for rotating. So I set up this bar chart with 4 blocks of energy. If I use 1 block for the rotational, that would leave 3 for kinetic, which again is less than a frictionless block would have, where all of the potential could be converted to translational kinetic. For the block, again, we're also starting with that same amount of gravitational potential energy, 4 blocks on this chart at the top of the hill. And at the bottom, again, we also have no more gravitational. We've converted it to other forms. But because we are setting up a friction force, that again is going to require us to use some of our energy for something other than kinetic. So what we want to have happen is for these objects to both reach the same speed at the bottom of the ramp, which means they need to both have the same kinetic energy, which means we need to use the same portion of our original energy for something else in both cases. And again, for the sphere, what we're using some of our energy for is to spin as rotational kinetic. And for the block, we're going to set that up as thermal energy. So in both cases, again, some of our initial energy goes to things other than kinetic, and we want those final speeds to be the same. For the sphere, my energy conservation equation, I'm going to use a closed system consisting of sphere and ramp and the Earth. So my energy conservation equation is going to start with gravitational potential at the beginning, and I'm going to have traditional kinetic plus rotational kinetic at the end. And I can set this up with mgh equal to 1/2 mv squared plus 1/2 I omega squared. For the block, I'm still going to start with a closed system, and we'll talk about an alternate option in a second. If you took a picture of the key on the yellow sheet, it actually did use an open system, but I'm going to solve it here with a closed system, which would include the block, the Earth, and again, the ramp. So this time I'm going to start with gravitational potential, and I'm going to end with kinetic and thermal energy. And another option you could do here, if you did not include the ramp in the system, what you could choose to do is set up a system where you had potential energy at the start minus the work from friction, and that would get you a lower value for kinetic at the end. And the thermal energy in my closed system would kind of do the same thing as the negative work from friction in the open system, and we could picture moving work from friction over to the right side, and that algebraically getting us the same result. But to kind of match up with the bar charts, I'm going to choose to use a closed system where I account for friction's efforts as thermal energy. So finishing up the block equation, I'm going to have mgh equals 1/2 mv squared plus thermal energy is force of friction times distance. And then I could also do mgh is equal to 1/2 mv squared plus mu mg cosine theta, that's the force of friction on a ramp, times the distance on a ramp, which is L. I know that I'm going to need to know speed at the bottom of the ramp, right? Whichever method I take for this, I'm going to need to know speed. So to me, it looks like I have actually more information on the side with the sphere. This matches up to a lot of the demos and example problems we've done in class. This should be something where I can find the speed at the bottom of the ramp, and then I could use that to find mu. I can't really start with the block since I don't know the final speed and I don't know the coefficient of friction. So there's two things I don't know. But the side with the rolling sphere, which again it's a hollow sphere, so moment of inertia of 2/3 mr squared. This should be a side where I can actually find something out. I can find out the speed at the bottom of the hill. So I'm going to set up mgh equals 1/2 mv squared. I'm going to keep that the same from the previous line. And then what I'm doing in this line is I'm going to take my rotational kinetic energy and break that down. So my moment of inertia is 2/3 mr squared. Omega squared is v squared over r squared using our rotation link. And that lets me cancel a lot of things out. So there is an m in every term that's going to cancel. And then this r squared in the numerator and denominator will also cancel. That will leave me with gh on the left side, 1/2 v squared from the first term on the right side, and 1/3 v squared from the second term on the left side. My v squared terms can be combined. Gh is equal to 5/6 v squared, so 1/2 plus 1/3 is 5/6. V squared is equal to 6gh over 5. And then if I wanted v by itself, I would take the square root of that. Using that result, though, I can bring it over to the side for the block. And that's going to be really useful for me because now I can write mgh is equal to 1/2 mv squared, but I have an expression for v squared. All right, so instead of v squared, I can write 6gh over 5. All right, so 6gh over 5 again is equivalent to v squared, so that substitution is getting made in the kinetic energy term. And then I have mu mg cosine theta times L. That's my thermal energy or work done by friction term. So if I take a second and kind of look at what I've got here, there's a lot of cleanup that I can do. So the first thing I can do to clean this up is look at what's in every term. And every term has both an m and a g, so I can cancel that out. So m and g are going to cancel. I can also do some fraction cleanup here. So 1/2 times 6/5 is going to make 6/10. So I'll use that in my next line as well. So writing my cleaned up and canceled out version here, the only thing left on the left side of the equation is an h. The first term I have 1/2 and 6/5, so we said that's going to make 6/10 times h. And then my second term I have mu cosine theta L that's left. I have two terms with h in them, so I'm going to combine them. I'm going to subtract 6/10 h to the other side, so that will get me 4/10 h is equal to mu cosine theta times L. Get another paper here. 4/10 is the same as 2/5, so 2/5 times h is equal to mu cosine theta times L. So just simplifying the fraction on the left side down to 2/5. And then the problem told me I needed to solve for mu in terms of only theta. So if I take a look at what I still have that I'm not supposed to, I've got an h and an L that I'm not supposed to have. So if I go back to my drawing of the ramp, L is my hypotenuse, h is the opposite side. That means that h is equal to L sine theta. So these are both distances. I can get them in terms of each other in order to cancel and clean up and get rid of the variables that I don't need to have. So I can rewrite this instead of 2/5 times h as 2/5 times L sine theta. That's equal to mu cosine theta times L. Now I've got L in both terms and that will cancel. So 2/5 sine is equal to mu cosine. And my goal is to get mu by itself. So to do that, I would divide both sides by cosine. Mu would equal 2/5 times sine theta over cosine theta. Sine theta over cosine theta is tangent. And my final answer is mu is equal to 2/5 times the tangent of the ramp angle.